I slammed my laptop shut and rubbed my eyes. Another day, another mind-numbing coding session. My phone buzzed, probably work again. I glanced at it. "Hey man, drinks tonight?" It was Tom from accounting. "Can't." Deadlines, I typed back. Tom's reply came fast. "Dude, you never come out anymore. What happened to the Marlon I knew in college?" I snorted. College Marlon. That guy was long gone, buried under student loans and family drama. I fired back. He grew up and got a job. Speaking of which, back to it. As I reached for my laptop, my eyes caught the dusty photo frame on my desk. Gareth's goofy grin stared back at me, his arms slung over my shoulders. 3 years gone, and it still stung. My phone buzzed again. Tom, persistent as ever. "At least come for one drink. There's a new guy in HR, total eye candy." I rolled my eyes. Not interested. Unlike some people, I've got goals to achieve. All work and no play, Marlon. You're going to turn into a robot. Maybe I already had. I tossed the phone aside and dove back into my code. It was easier this way. No messy emotions, no disappointments. Just me, my laptop, and the endless stream of ones and zeros. As I typed, I couldn't help but mutter, "This is fine. This is exactly where I want to be." But even I didn't believe that lie anymore. The next morning, my boss Dave cornered me at the coffee machine. "Marlon, got a sec?" I stifled a groan. "Sure, what's up?" "I need you at the Color Zone Festival this weekend. Client wants you to experience their events before you design the website." I nearly choked on my coffee. "Me? At a festival? Dave, I'm a developer, not." "It's non-negotiable," Dave cut in. "The client specifically requested you." Great, just great. I could already feel the anxiety creeping in. Fine. What do I even wear to something like that? Dave shrugged. "I don't know, something. Festive." Festive.
Right.
I spent Friday night staring at my closet full of black shirts and jeans. Real festive, Marlon. Saturday morning, I stood at the festival entrance, feeling like a vampire at a beach party. The bass from the music was already giving me a headache. "Excuse me," I tapped a guy's shoulder. "I'm looking for the Just Events booth." He turned, revealing a face painted in swirls of neon colors. "Sorry, man, can't hear you over the music." He grinned and danced away. I sighed and checked my phone. The client had sent their location, but in this chaos, it might as well have been written in hieroglyphics. As I pushed through the crowd, trying not to touch anyone, God knows what that paint would do to my clothes, it happened. A cold splash hit me square in the face. Someone laughed nearby. Shit, I yanked off my glasses, now covered in pink goop. The world turned into a blurry mess of colors and motion. Suddenly, a hand gripped my arm. "Hoa there, looks like you could use some help." I squinted at the tall, muscular blur in front of me. "Who?" "Name's Cyril," the blur said, chuckling. "Come on, let's get you cleaned up before you turn into a walking Jackson Pollock." As he led me away, I couldn't help but think this was already way more excitement than I'd bargained for. And little did I know it was just the beginning. Cyril led me to a quieter area, his hand still on my arm. I blinked as he gently wiped my face with a paper towel. "There," he said, sliding something onto my face. "How's that?" The world came into focus. I found myself staring at a pair of amused brown eyes. "These aren't my glasses." "Nope, they're my spares. Figured you'd need them more than me right now." I took in his appearance, tall, muscular, with a smile that seemed permanent. "Thanks. I'm Marlon, by the way." "Marlon?" Like the fish, he grinned. I rolled my eyes. "Original. Never heard that one before." "Sorry, couldn't resist. So what brings a guy like you to Color Zone?" "A guy like me," I bristled. He laughed, holding up his hands. "Easy, Tiger. I meant someone who looks like they'd rather be anywhere else." I sighed. "Work assignment. I'm supposed to meet a client, but..." I gestured vaguely at the chaos around us. "Ah, mixing business with pleasure." "Bold move," he winked. "Come on, I'll help you find them." As we navigated through the crowd, Cyril kept up a steady stream of chatter. Despite myself, I found I was enjoying his company. "So what do you do when you're not getting assaulted by paint?" he asked. "Web development. Thrilling stuff." "Hey, no judgment here. I'm a child psychologist." I nearly tripped. "Seriously? You don't seem the type." He raised an eyebrow. "And what type do I seem?" "I don't know. Bouncer? Professional athlete?"
Cyril laughed, a deep, genuine sound that made me smile. Looks can be deceiving, Marlin. You should know that better than anyone.
"What's that supposed to mean?" He stopped, turning to face me. "It means you're not nearly as serious as you pretend to be. I bet there's a party animal hiding under that grumpy exterior." I scoffed, but felt a blush creeping up my neck. "You don't know me." "Maybe not," he said softly, "but I'd like to." Before I could respond, he pointed. "There's your client. Go get him, Tiger." As I walked away, I found myself hoping this wouldn't be the last I saw of Cyril. For the first time in years, I felt a spark of something, and it both thrilled and terrified me. The festival high lasted a few days. I caught myself smiling at my computer screen, Cyril's number burning a hole in my pocket. But I hadn't called. What would I even say? Earth, to Marlin, my coworker, waved a hand in front of my face. "Your computer's been pinging for the last 5 minutes." "Shit." Sorry, I shook my head, focusing on the screen. A friend request notification blinked at me. My heart stopped.
Gareth.
7 years of radio silence. And now this? My cursor hovered over the accept button. Before I could overthink it, I clicked. Almost immediately, a message popped up. "Gareth, if I'd known we were so close, I might have asked you out for coffee. That is, if you're still addicted." My fingers trembled as I typed back. "If you still remember what I usually order at Starbucks, I might indulge you. Gareth Venti iced Americano, extra shot, splash of cream. Friday night? Me, maybe. Gareth for me? Me, always." I leaned back, heart racing. What the hell was I doing? Friday night found me fidgeting outside Starbucks. A familiar voice called out, "Still can't sit still, huh?" I turned, and there he was. Gareth. Older, more lines around his eyes, but that mischievous grin hadn't changed a bit. "You're late," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. He shrugged, that old casual gesture I used to find infuriating and endearing in equal measure. "Fashionably, shall we?" Inside, he ordered for both of us, my usual and his ridiculous sugar-loaded concoction. So he said, settling into a chair, "What's new in the life of Marlin?" I snorted. "Oh, you know, work, sleep, repeat, living the dream." "Liar," he grinned. "I saw those festival pics on your profile. Since when does Marlin I hate crowds attend Color Zone?" I felt my face heat up. Work thing. It was. Unexpected.
Eshem, he hummed, leaning forward. "And who was that mountain of a man you were with? New boyfriend?"
"What?" "No," I spluttered. "That's Cyril. He's just a guy I met there." Garrett's eyes twinkled. "Just a guy, huh? Must be some guy to get you smiling like that in photos." I changed the subject quickly. "What about you? What brings you back to town?" As Gareth launched into stories of his travels and business ventures, I found myself slipping back into our old rhythm. The way he talked with his hands, how he'd pause for dramatic effect, it was all so familiar, so comfortable. But as I laughed at his jokes and felt that old warmth spreading through my chest, a nagging thought kept creeping in. What about Cyril? By the time we said goodbye, my head was spinning. Gareth's parting words echoed in my ears. "Let's not be strangers this time, okay? I've missed you, Marlin." I watched him walk away, conflicting emotions warring inside me. The past I thought I'd moved on from, and the potential future I'd glimpsed at the festival both suddenly seemed within reach. And I had no idea what to do about it. The next few weeks were a whirlwind. My phone buzzed constantly, alternating between Cyril and Gareth. Cyril, hey Tiger, up for some binge watching tonight? I grinned, typing back only if you promise not to talk through the dramatic scenes again. Before I could hit send, another message popped up. Gareth drinks at O'Alley's? For old time's sake? I groaned, dropping my head onto my desk. This was getting complicated. That Friday, I found myself sandwiched between Cyril and Gareth at a local bar. The tension was palpable. So Gareth drawled, eyeing Cyril, "How'd you two meet again?" Cyril chuckled. "I saved this damsel in distress from a pain attack at Color Zone." I rolled my eyes. I wasn't in distress. I was strategically retreating. "Sure, Tiger." Cyril squeezed my shoulder, sending a jolt through me. Gareth's eyes narrowed slightly. "Tiger? That's new." "Inside joke," I mumbled, taking a long swig of my beer. As the night wore on, I found myself hyper-aware of every touch, every glance. Cyril's hand on my back as he leaned in to whisper a joke. Gareth's fingers brushing mine as he passed me a drink. "Earth, to Marlin." Cyril waved a hand in front of my face. "You still with us?" I blinked, realizing I'd zoned out. "Yeah, sorry, what were we talking about?" "I was just telling Gareth about our plan to binge-watch that new series," Cyril said. Gareth perked up. "Oh? What series?" Before I knew it, our duo had become a trio. We started hanging out regularly, watching shows, grabbing drinks, even hitting up local events. It should have been awkward, but somehow it worked. Cyril's easygoing nature balanced out Gareth's intensity. And me? I was caught in the middle, drawn to both of them for different reasons. One night, as we wrapped up a gaming session at my place, Gareth pulled me aside. "Hey," he said softly, his hand on my arm. "You okay? You seem distracted lately." I swallowed hard, very aware of his touch. "Yeah, I'm fine, just work stuff." He raised an eyebrow. "You sure that's all it is?" Before I could answer, Cyril called from the kitchen, "Who wants popcorn for round 2? Coming, I called back, perhaps a bit too eagerly. Gareth's hand slipped from my arm, a fleeting look of disappointment crossing his face. As I helped Cyril with the snacks, he bumped my hip playfully. "You know, for someone who claims to hate socializing, you seem to be enjoying our little trio." I felt my face heat up. "It's nice. Different, but nice." Cyril's gaze softened. "Yeah, it is." Returning to the living room, I found myself once again in the middle of the couch, Cyril and Gareth on either side. As we settled in to watch, I couldn't help but think, how long could I keep this balancing act up? The warmth of their bodies on either side of me, the sound of their laughter mingling in the air, it was intoxicating and terrifying. Because I knew, sooner or later, something had to give. Weeks flew by, and our trio hangouts became a regular thing. But with each passing day, the tension ratcheted up a notch. One Friday night, we were sprawled across my living room floor, empty pizza boxes scattered around us. Cyril was regaling us with stories from his latest therapy session. "So this kid, he's convinced his stuffed giraffe is plotting world domination." Cyril chuckled, his eyes crinkling at the corners. I snorted, nearly choking on my beer. "And how exactly does a stuffed giraffe plan to take over the world?" "Through the strategic deployment of rainbow farts," obviously. Cyril deadpanned, sending us into fits of laughter. As our giggles subsided, I caught Gareth staring at me, a soft smile playing on his lips. What I asked, suddenly self-conscious. He shook his head. "Nothing. It's good to hear you laugh like that again."
The room fell silent, the air thick with unspoken words. Cyril cleared his throat. I should probably get going. Early client tomorrow."
"Right, yeah," I mumbled, scrambling to my feet. "I'll walk you out." At the door, Cyril turned to me, his eyes searching mine. "You know, Marlin, it's okay to be happy. You deserve it." Before I could respond, he leaned in and planted a quick kiss on my cheek. "Night, Tiger," he whispered, then disappeared down the hallway. I stood there, frozen, my cheek tingling where his lips had been. What the hell was that? "Everything okay?" Gareth's voice startled me. I spun around to find him leaning against the doorframe, an unreadable expression on his face. "Yeah, fine," I said too quickly. Just, saying goodnight." Gareth nodded slowly, then pushed off the doorframe and moved closer. "Marlon, I've been thinking."
My heart rate kicked up a notch. "Yeah." He reached out, his fingers ghosting over my arm. "Remember that night, back in college, when we stayed up all night talking about our dreams?"
I swallowed hard. How could I forget? "I've been wondering," he said softly, "if maybe some dreams are worth revisiting." The air between us crackled with electricity. I found myself leaning in, drawn by some invisible force. Suddenly my phone blared to life, shattering the moment. We jumped apart like startled cats. "Shit, sorry," I fumbled for my phone. A text from Cyril lit up the screen. "Forgot my jacket. Mind if I swing by tomorrow to grab it?" I typed a quick sure and shoved the phone back in my pocket, my hand shaking slightly. Gareth ran a hand through his hair, looking as flustered as I felt. "I should probably head out too. It's getting late." "Right, yeah, of course." At the door, he paused, turning back to me. "Marlon." "Yeah."
He seemed to wrestle with himself for a moment, then simply said, "Sweet dreams."
As the door clicked shut behind him, I slumped against it, my head spinning. What the hell was I doing? Cyril's kiss, Gareth's almost confession. This was spiraling out of control. I dragged myself to bed, but sleep eluded me. My mind raced, replaying every touch, every loaded glance, every almost moment. Cyril's warmth and easy laughter. Gareth's intensity and shared history. How could I possibly choose? As dawn broke, I was no closer to an answer. But one thing was crystal clear: something had to give, and soon. Because this tightrope act, it was only a matter of time before I fell. The next day I was a mess. I'd barely slept, my mind a whirlwind of conflicting emotions. Cyril's text about his jacket kept pinging in my head, a constant reminder of last night's near miss with Gareth. I was pacing my apartment, debating whether to call either of them when my phone buzzed. "Gareth, can we talk?" "I'm outside your building." My heart leapt into my throat. Before I could overthink it, I typed back, "Come up." Minutes later, a knock at the door. I opened it to find Gareth, looking as disheveled as I felt. "Hey," he said, his voice rough. "Hey yourself," I replied, stepping aside to let him in. We stood in awkward silence for a moment, the air thick with unspoken words. Finally, Gareth spoke. "About last night." "Look, it's fine," I cut him off, suddenly panicked. "We had a few drinks, things got weird, it happens." "Marlon," he said softly, stepping closer. "It wasn't weird, it felt right." I backed up, bumping into the kitchen counter. "Gareth, Just hear me out, okay?" He was so close now, I could see the flecks of gold in his eyes. "I've been thinking about this for a long time. About us. About what we could be if we gave it another shot." My breath caught in my throat. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying," he reached out, his hand cupping my face, "that I never stopped loving you, Marlon." Before I could process his words, his lips were on mine, and God help me, I kissed him back. It was like no time had passed at all. His taste, his touch, it was all achingly familiar. I don't know how long we stood there, lost in each other. But suddenly a sound broke through the haze, the click of a door opening. We sprang apart, turning to see Cyril standing in the doorway, my spare key in his hand and his jacket forgotten on the floor. "Cyril," I gasped, my voice sounding strangled even to my own ears. His face was a mask of shock, quickly morphing into something I couldn't quite read. Hurt? Anger? Before I could say anything else, he turned on his heel and bolted. "Cyril, wait," I called, pushing past Gareth and racing after him. I caught up to him at the elevator, grabbing his arm. "Cyril, please, let me explain." He yanked his arm away, his eyes blazing. "Explain what, Marlon? How you've been stringing both of us along?" "No, it's not like that." Then what is it like, he demanded. Because from where I'm standing, it looks pretty damn clear.
The elevator dinged, doors sliding open. Cyril stepped in, then turned to face me. You know, I really thought. Never mind. Have a nice life, Marlin.
As the doors closed on his hurt face, I felt something inside me shatter. I trudged back to my apartment, feeling like the world's biggest asshole. Gareth was waiting, his face a mixture of concern and guilt. Marlin, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to. I held up a hand, cutting him off. Don't, just. I need to be alone right now. After he left, I sank to the floor, my back against the door. The taste of Gareth's kiss still lingered on my lips, but all I could see was the pain in Cyril's eyes. What the hell had I done? The next few days were hell. Cyril wasn't answering my calls or texts, and Gareth. Well, that was another mess entirely. Marlin, we need to talk about what happened, Gareth's voice crackled through my phone speaker. I sighed, rubbing my temples. I know, it's just complicated.
Because of Cyril.
The question hung in the air. Yeah, I finally admitted, because of Cyril. Silence stretched between us. Then, do you have feelings for him? I closed my eyes, the truth I'd been avoiding finally bubbling to the surface. I think I do, but I have feelings for you too, and it's all just so fucking confusing. Gareth's laugh was tinged with sadness. Well, at least we're both confused. After we hung up, I stared at my phone, thumb hovering over Cyril's number. Fuck it. I hit call. Straight to voicemail. Again. Cyril, please. I know I screwed up, but can we just talk? I miss. The beep cut me off. Great. Now I sounded desperate and pathetic. A notification popped up, reminding me of the cosplay event we'd planned weeks ago. The Three Musketeers. It seemed like a lifetime ago now. On impulse, I texted both of them, are we still on for the cosplay thing tomorrow? Gareth replied almost immediately, I'm in if you are. Cyril's response came hours later, just 2 words, whatever. Fine. The next day, I found myself standing outside the convention center, feeling ridiculous in my musketeer costume. Gareth arrived first, his smile tight. Nice tights, he quipped. I rolled my eyes. Speak for yourself, Porthos. The awkward silence that followed was mercifully broken by Cyril's arrival. My breath caught. He looked amazing in his costume, all broad shoulders and stern jawline. Let's just get this over with, he muttered, brushing past us. Inside, the tension was palpable. We posed for photos, our smiles forced, the space between us charged with unspoken words. During a lull, I pulled Cyril aside. Can we talk, please? He crossed his arms. About what? How you were kissing Gareth while leading me on. I wasn't leading you on, I hissed, aware of the crowd around us. I genuinely care about you, Cyril, both of you. That's the problem. Something flickered in his eyes, hurt, confusion, maybe a glimmer of hope. But before he could respond, a commotion erupted nearby. Oh my God, are you okay? Someone shouted. We turned to see Gareth crumpled on the ground, clutching his ankle. Gareth, I rushed over, Cyril close behind. What happened? He grimaced, tripped over my own damn cape. I think I twisted my ankle. As I helped him up, I caught Cyril's eye over Gareth's shoulder. For a moment, the wall between us crumbled, replaced by shared concern. We need to get him to a chair, Cyril said, stepping in to support Gareth's other side. As we maneuvered through the crowd, Gareth leaned in close. Some musketeers we are, he whispered, a hint of his old humor shining through. Despite everything, I found myself smiling. All for one and one for all, right? Cyril snorted. Yeah, something like that. We found a quiet corner and settled Gareth into a chair. As Cyril knelt to examine his ankle, I stood back, watching them. The two men who'd turned my world upside down, now united in this small act of care. In that moment, seeing them together, something shifted inside me. The choice I'd been agonizing over suddenly seemed both impossibly hard and crystal clear. I took a deep breath. Guys, I think we need to talk. All of us.
They looked up at me, surprise mirrored on both their faces. Whatever came next, I knew one thing for sure: our story was far from over.
We managed to get Gareth back to my apartment, his arms slung over our shoulders. The irony of our Three Musketeers costumes wasn't lost on me as we stumbled through the door. "Couch," Gareth grunted, his face pale with pain. Cyril and I lowered him gently onto the cushions. As Cyril propped Gareth's foot up on a pillow, I caught a glimpse of the gentleness in his touch, the concern in his eyes. It made my heart ache. "I'll get some ice," I mumbled, escaping to the kitchen.
As I rummaged through the freezer, I could hear their muffled voices from the living room. My stomach churned. This was it. No more running, no more hiding.
I returned with the ice pack to find them in an awkward silence. Cyril was perched on the arm of the couch, as far from Gareth as he could get, while still being in the same room. "Here," I said, handing Gareth the ice. Our fingers brushed, and I felt that familiar spark. But when I looked up, I saw Cyril watching us, his jaw clenched. "Okay," I took a deep breath. "We need to talk." "No shit," Cyril muttered. Gareth shifted uncomfortably. "Look, if this is about the kiss, it's about everything I cut in. The kiss, yes, but also us. All of us." Silence fell. I could hear my own heart pounding. "I care about both of you," I continued, my voice shaking. "And I know that's not fair, but it's the truth." Cyril stood abruptly. "You can't have it both ways, Marlon." I know that. I ran a hand through my hair, frustrated. "God, don't you think I know that? But I can't just switch off my feelings." "So what, you want us to share you?" Gareth asked, his tone unreadable. I felt my face flush. "No, I don't know. I just know that when I'm with either of you, it feels right. And when we're all together, it's complicated," Cyril finished, his voice softer now. "Yeah," I sighed. "Complicated." Gareth winced as he shifted on the couch. "You know, when I came back to town, I thought I knew exactly what I wanted, to pick up where we left off, Marlon. But then you met Cyril," I said. He nodded. "And I saw how you were with him. How you laughed, how you relaxed. It was like seeing a whole new side of you." Cyril's eyebrows shot up. "Wait, what?" Gareth gave a rueful smile. "Come on, man, you think I didn't notice how good you are for him? How you bring out parts of Marlon I never could?" I stood there, stunned. This was not how I expected this conversation to go. Cyril sank into a chair, looking shell-shocked. I thought you two were just getting back together. That I was the odd man out." "You're not," I said quickly. Maybe too quickly. None of us is. That's the problem. We all fell silent, the weight of the situation settling over us. Finally, Cyril spoke. "So what do we do now?" I looked between them, these two men who'd turned my world upside down. "I don't know," I admitted. "But I do know I don't want to lose either of you." Gareth reached out, taking my hand. After a moment's hesitation, he extended his other hand to Cyril. Cyril stared at it for a long moment. Then, slowly, he took it. As we sat there, connected in this strange, tentative way, I felt something shift. The tension in the room didn't disappear, but it changed, became something different. Possibility, maybe. "This is crazy," Cyril muttered, but he didn't let go. Gareth chuckled. "Completely insane." I couldn't help but laugh, too. "Well, we are still in costume. Might as well embrace the drama." For the first time in days, genuine smiles broke out on all our faces. We had no idea where this was going, but as I looked at our joined hands, I realized one thing: whatever happened next, we'd face it together. The days following our dramatic Three Musketeers heart-to-heart were interesting, to say the least. We'd opened Pandora's box, and now we had to figure out how to live with what came out. Gareth's ankle healed slowly, giving us an excuse to spend more time together. Movie nights became a regular thing, with Cyril and I taking turns playing nurse to our injured musketeer. One evening, as the credits rolled on some forgettable action flick, Cyril broke the comfortable silence. "So are we really doing this?" he asked, his voice a mix of nervousness and hope. Gareth, sprawled across the couch with his foot in my lap, raised an eyebrow. Doing what? Watching another terrible movie. I snorted, grateful for the moment of levity. But Cyril pressed on. You know what I mean? This. Whatever this is between us. The room fell silent again, but this time it was charged with possibility. I took a deep breath. I want to. If you both do. Gareth pushed himself up, wincing slightly. It won't be easy, he said, looking between us. People might not understand.
When has anything worth having ever been easy, I counted.
Cyril chuckled, shaking his head. God, you're such a sap, Marlon. But his eyes were soft as he looked at me. All right, Gareth said, a grin spreading across his face. Let's give this crazy thing a shot. And just like that, we embarked on our strangest adventure yet. It wasn't all smooth sailing, of course. We had our fair share of jealousy, misunderstandings, and awkward moments. Like the time Gareth walked in on Cyril and me in a, shall we say, compromising position. Jesus, warn a guy, Gareth yelped, covering his eyes. Cyril, the bastard, just laughed. You're welcome to join, you know? I threw a pillow at him, my face burning. But to my surprise, Gareth didn't storm out. Instead, he peeked through his fingers, a mischievous glint in his eye. Well, if you insist. That night was a turning point. We stopped treating our arrangement like a ticking time bomb and started embracing it for what it was: three people who cared deeply for each other, figuring it out as we went along. Weeks turned into months. We settled into a rhythm, each of us bringing something unique to the relationship. Gareth's spontaneity balanced my need for structure. Cyril's calm steadied us when things got rocky. And well, apparently I was the glue that held our odd little family together. It wasn't always easy. We had our share of raised voices and slammed doors, but we always found our way back to each other. One lazy Sunday morning, I found myself sandwiched between Cyril and Gareth on the couch, a tangle of limbs and shared warmth. As I watched them bicker good-naturedly over the TV remote, I felt a wave of contentment wash over me. What are you smiling about? Cyril asked, catching my eye. I shrugged, unable to wipe the grin off my face. Just happy, I guess. Gareth leaned over, pressing a kiss to my temple. Yeah? Good? You deserve it, you know. Cyril hummed in agreement, his arm tightening around my waist. In that moment, I thought back to where it all began. The monotonous life I'd been living, the walls I'd built around my heart. If someone had told me then that I'd end up here, caught between my hot ex and the mountain of a man I met at a festival, I'd have laughed in their face. But now I couldn't imagine it any other way. As Cyril and Gareth's playful argument devolved into a tickle fight with me caught in the crossfire, I let out a laugh that came straight from my soul. This was my life now, messy, complicated, and absolutely perfect. Who would have thought that falling for my best friend and my hot ex would lead to the greatest love story of my life?